Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty specific, straight from the research you sent over. We're digging into fantasy football, asking this question. Does a wide receiver's college yards per reception actually, predict how well they'll do in the NFL for fantasy?
Right, that's the core question. And the mission here was to really pull out the key findings from this pretty methodical study.
Yeah, it looked at the top 50 PPR finishers going way back to 2003. And they specifically compared the elite guys with the bottom 10, meaning ranks 41 to 50. And right off the bat, things got interesting. They mapped out averages to spot trends.
Yeah, but the patterns weren't obvious at all.
Not at all. In fact, get this, only 57.1% of the time, that's like 12 out of 21 seasons, did the top 10 guys even have higher college YR than the players ranked 31st to 50th.
Which is surprising, right? It immediately kind of pushes back against that common assumption.
Totally. You'd think high YR means explosive plays, which means fantasy points. But this initial look is already, murky. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it signals straight away that we might be dealing with a metric that's frankly less reliable than maybe popular wisdom suggests. Because when you really dig into the ultimate finding from the research, it gets even clearer. They found essentially no significant correlation between college YR and future NFL fantasy production.
No significant correlation. Okay, let's break that down. For people maybe less familiar with the stats side.
Right.
The study came up with a Pearson value of...
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting abilities so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
0.046.
Yeah, 0.046, which is tiny.
Tiny. So a Pearson value basically measures how linked two things are. And 0.046 is so close to zero. It's basically saying there's no real connection.
Negligible. And just for some context, right? Something everyone agrees matters a lot, like a running back's draft capital.
Yeah, how high they were picked in the draft.
Right. That had a Pearson value of negative 0.234.
It's way more significant than 0.046.
Right.
It shows some kind of inverse relationship at least.
Absolutely. It really puts into perspective how weak this YR correlation is. It means if you're just banking on college YR to predict fantasy success, well, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Like flipping a coin almost.
Pretty much. And what's really eye-opening, I think, is connecting this to the bigger picture. They looked across decades and found a really significant shift in the trend. There was maybe something there initially, an optimal range around 18.6 YR and up.
Right, I saw that. It gave like a 13.5% better chance of landing in the top 10 versus the bottom 10.
It has, and I quote, diminished completely in the current decade.
Completely. Wow. So whatever signal might have been there, it's just noise now.
That's what the data suggests. Any trend that might have supported using YR, it's vanished in recent years.
That's a huge takeaway for fantasy players. Does this mean, college offenses have changed or how the NFL scouts or...
It raises those questions, definitely. Maybe the college game is different. Maybe the NFL values different things now. Maybe both. But the bottom line is that historical indicator just isn't indicating anything useful anymore.
Okay, so the verdict seems pretty clear. Don't put too much stock in college YR.
Based on this.
Okay, for those listeners who still want to use every piece of data, even weak ones, the research did sort of pinpoint that 18.6 YR number again, right? Like, if you were going to hope for a high YR guy, aim for 18.6 and above.
Yes, that was the threshold identified historically, even if its predictive power has faded now. So if you insist on looking at it alongside other, hopefully stronger metrics, that 18.6 mark is the one the study landed on.
Gotcha.
But really, this whole thing kind of raises a bigger question for you, the listener, to think about. In this world where we have more and more data, maybe too much data sometimes, when a traditional stat like College YR turns out to have, well, basically no predictive power and its historical trends just disappear,
Yeah.
what else should you be looking at? What are those less obvious metrics or maybe even qualitative things, coaching, scheme fit, player interviews that might actually be more crucial for figuring out who's going to succeed?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
When the old numbers fail, where do you look next?
Exactly. Something for you to chew on before your next fantasy draft.